working on the field of artificial intelligence in Italy, AI allows you to be almost tax-free. Yes, this is the new regulation that has been approved in the Italian Parliament just a few weeks ago, and basically I'm going to tell you up to the end of this video how to get back the famous 90% deduction of your income if you're working in the field of artificial intelligence while you become Italian tax resident. My name is Andrea Papetto and this is ESENtaxa. We talk about how to optimize your taxation if you want to relocate to a specific country, and we help clients to understand the tax burden based on tax simulation, based on consultancy services, in order to understand if your particular structure, family situation, business structure, of course, makes sense for a specific relocation in that specific country in Europe. We have also an accounting firm that right now it's operating in the territory of Italy and Belgium, and basically with extensive network of accountants we help people to easily manage their business without even thinking about taxes, because we prepare everything, we make everything transparent for your business in the new country that you want to relocate to. In the description below the video you will have all our info in our website www.esentaxa.com. We have also created a new academy, ESENtaxa Academy, in which we discuss about international tax matters. Also we talk about specific tax regimes. For example, we have delivered a course about the Italian impatriate regime eligibility course in the description below the video as well. And of course a calendar link if you want to book a consultation with us. Now I want to be straight in this video. I want to quickly tell you the new opportunity that finally we have through the artificial intelligence that the Italian government is going to regulate, because basically in Europe the artificial intelligence is something that needs to be regulated by the European laws, and each country at the national level they are regulating this new phenomena with putting some boundaries, how should be used, how should be exploited. But how does it affect taxes? How come this artificial intelligence could affect your taxes while you're moving to a specific country, in Europe of course, and in this video in Italy? So how come when you become Italian tax resident you might have the chance to spare 90% of your income? I mean, what does it mean, spare 90% of your income? It means that you will have the chance to have 90% of your income tax-free and only 10% of your income be taxable at the ordinary Italian tax bracket rates. If you remember, this used to be like this some years ago using the famous impatriate regime when you were relocated in south of Italy. Well, with this new regulation, actually it's gonna work for the entire Italian territory, okay? Okay, let me deep dive a little bit more in details. What the name of this regime? First of all, I'm not going to talk about the impatriate regime, which is basically still the same. We have this 50% deduction of your income, of your profit, and 60% if you carry with you a minor. There is just a small exception in the municipality of Campione d'Italia, which is the Italian exclave territory inside the Switzerland, inside the Swiss territory. Basically you have an extra 30% deduction, so you might reach 80% or 90% if you carry with you a minor, and this is the impatriate regime. And if you want to check if you're eligible for the impatriate regime, in the description below the video you will have our impatriate regime eligibility test that allows you to understand if you're eligible, because if you're not eligible and you check and you submit a tax file return in Italy saying that you're eligible, then after some years you might be subject to an audit from the Italian tax agency, and if you fail that audit you have to give back all the money plus fine and interests. Okay, this other tax regime that I'm talking about, it's called in English, how can I translate it? It's like returns of brains. This is the name, okay? It's called in Italian rientro dei cervelli. It's called returns of brains. This is the way of trying to attract back big Italian brains working abroad back to the Italian territory, and the only way to incentive this phenomenon is basically reduce taxes on their wages, on their salaries. And this different regime works only for teachers and researchers. Okay, so that's the reason why it's not so well known, it's not so widely known, because of course there are only these two categories that if they prove to be, they have approved to be a teacher, worked abroad for at least 2 years and proved to continue this activity in Italy, they have a 90% deduction of the income, and the same as for researcher, so teacher and researcher. Researcher for private or public structures, public institutions, and teachers of public university, public school, or private, recognized from the state, private institution and private schools, okay? But now, with these artificial intelligence regulamentations, there are new paragraphs in basically which has been extended for, especially for the researchers that also wants to be freelancer in Italy. They carry on their own research, their own activities for other clients, for other laboratories, for other customers, suppliers. So basically, if you are a researcher working on the field of artificial intelligence, you will be eligible of this 90% deduction of your profit if you're a freelancer, or of your income if you are an employee. Okay? So basically, thanks to this law, we get an extension to all those, because basically be a researcher is something that strictly means you're hired by a laboratory of pharmaceutical laboratory that needs some researchers. Then you can apply for 90% deduction. But now, with this law, even if yourself, you're doing research to build up a software or build up a prompt to train your AI, you will be eligible for this 90% deduction of your activity. And 90% deduction means, think about it, if you're earning, I don't know, 100,000 euro, only 10,000 euro of your income will be subject to the ordinary Italian taxation, and 10,000 euro basically is only 2,000 euro and 300 in taxes. So at the end of the day, you're going to pay only 2% in taxes out of your 100,000. And of course, this is cherry on top. The Italian Tax Agency also clarified that the Social Security is calculated after the deduction, and this works for the impatriate regime and also for the returns of brain regime. And then another good news is that along with this new law that is coming from the Parliament, there is also in parallel, it was just a coincidence that also the Italian Tax Agency released another tax clarification that basically confirmed that if you're working in Italy and you're not only working as a researcher, but you're only selling other stuff or working as a consultant on other domains, you can apply in parallel the returns of brain regime with the impatriate regime at the same time. So based on the type of activity, the profit of that type of activity falls into the correct regime. So you can apply for your research activity the 90% deductions for that kind of profit, and for the profit of other kinds, which are still eligible for the impatriate regime, you will apply 50% deduction or 60% deduction. So you have in this video two big news. One is the cumulative option between returns of brain regimes and your impatriate regime, and the fact that if you work also in the field of artificial intelligence, you will be eligible to apply this the returns of brain regime, which allows you to give you 90% deduction. Returns of brain regime, it's also longer than impatriate regime. It lasts for 60 years, and if you carry with you minor, it lasts for 8 years, and if you have 2 minors, will be 11 years. If you have 3 minors, will be 13 years. So imagine how long could be these returns of brain regime, and for all the time is 90% deduction. So it's a huge opportunity to spare a lot of taxes for a lot of time in Italy. Now, the law has been just drafted on the Parliament, has been approved for one branch of the Parliament. We are waiting for the second approval, and if everything goes right and smooth, we're going to have the final version of the law, and only here in ESENtaxa, because I believe you never heard about these things in other channels, only in ESENtaxa you will get updated about the final draft, the final version of the law, and all the relative and linked tax agency clarifications about this specific law. So in order to be updated, what you have to do? Simple: subscribe to the channel, notification bell, and like button. If you want to be updated for free about this kind of content, this kind of regulation, this kind of opportunity, specifically in Italy. And instead, if you want to know if you're eligible for the impatriate regime, either you book a consultation with us, or there is in the description below the video the link to the ESENtaxa Academy for the impatriate regime eligibility test course. And that's it for today. I hope I gave you very nice news, and see you to the next content. Bye.